Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sticking with us. It's been a bit of a journey, a bit of a struggle. We had some things go wrong. The stream is starting a little bit later than we wanted it to, but we are here, we are doing it, and we are ready to rock. This is Style Esports Season 3. This will be the first game, the first broadcast of the new season, and it'll be brought to you by myself, Mr. Baymax, and of course my esteemed color caster for tonight, Mr. Axeman87. How are you doing, Axeman?
I'm doing just fine. Yeah, we got a whole new format here for this season, and Style Esports has never been bigger. I think we got like 32 teams or something like that. It's a lot of teams, Baymax.
It's definitely a lot of things, and we'll talk a little bit about the new format, because some things have changed around a little bit. So moving into Season 3, we are going to have 5 different divisions. Those divisions are going to be separated by average rank in League. So the top divisions from the top down are Shurima, Ionia, Piltover, Freljord, and the Void. It's single round robin style, so each team is going to play each other team, and then once all the games are played in the divisions, we will move on to the playoffs, where the top teams in each division will play off against the bottom teams in each higher division for a chance to either move up or be relegated and move down. And so that's sort of the general format we're looking for here. Top 4 from each group are going to go to playoffs. For tonight, we have the group The Void, which is sort of, I don't want to say the bottom tier group, but for now, it's the lowest that we do have. So all of these teams have got sort of nowhere to go but up, right? If they get relegated, I don't even know exactly what happens. I think they might. I don't think they can get relegated. So we'll just go on from there, right? So Void Division tonight, Team Black Blossom on blue side, Team Wood Forever on red side. These teams did pro draft, and I think they're about ready to go. So in just a few short minutes, we should be moving through Champ Select and then eventually on the Rift.
Yeah, and I think one of the most interesting things about the new format and how it is right now with the relegation and promotion and stuff like that is that we just kind of base these divisions off the average solo queue rank of the team, which, as we know, Baymax is not always indicative of how good a competitive team is, right? So while these teams are in technically the last division, it's only because they're solo queue ranks, and we've seen teams with lower solo queue ranks completely dominate higher ranked teams in this league. So it really doesn't say too much about how good these teams are.
Absolutely. Season 1 comes to mind. I think it was back then it was Sand Ninjas Academy that had the highest ranked team, or maybe it was Sand Ninjas themselves, the main squad, but didn't end up coming out on top. So you're 100% right. Rank doesn't always mean anything, but you got to go off something, right? So rank is at least a rough indicator. We are moving into Champ Select, and like you said, we have a lot of new teams in Style Esports. This game is no exception. Both the teams that we are going to be watching tonight are new teams. They have recently joined the org in Season 3, so cannot wait to see what they end up bringing to the table here. Team Black Blossom again on blue side, Team Wood Forever on red side. We are moving into Champion Select. Bans are coming out, picks are about to start coming out. Axeman, what are you thinking right now?
I'm thinking we're going to see some different picks, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious that throughout different elos, there's different metas. And here, now that we're in like a lower elo than we're used to, there's a different meta, right? In solo queue, but also in competitive. So we'll be seeing a lot of champions that I think are easier to execute, a lot of champions that have very hard and set mechanics or win conditions, not as many Azirs or Corkis, not as many high skill cap champions like that, but definitely some powerful picks here. And we're already seeing a couple. We're seeing Kayn and Wukong in the jungle. That's just kind of illustrating what I'm talking about, right? Some maybe a little bit easier to execute champions, but still doing tons of damage.
Oh yeah, not only easier to execute, but still very broken, right? Kayn and Wukong are ridiculously strong right now, especially after that buff that Kayn got in 10.9, I think. Might get it wrong. There was a slight buff and then nerf, or there's a significant buff and then slight nerf. I think it was 10.9 and then 10.10 where the nerf came in, but it was not nearly enough, right? Rost Red Kayn is ridiculously strong right now. So Undertaker getting a power pick under his belt for Black Blossom. But on the flip side, Death Boy with the Wukong jungle. Wukong is, I don't know about as strong of a jungler as Kayn, but generally you see the Wukong top lane instead of jungle, I would think. But Wukong in general, also a very, very strong pick.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those champions where it's just kind of like, this champion is so strong that if we can get it to jungle, we can definitely put it in the jungle role because we can make it work. You're probably right. Maybe not as good a jungler as Kane technically, but definitely still a very strong pick here in the mid lane. A bit of a classic matchup, one we maybe don't see as much here in Season 10, but we got the Nico Galio here. Still very strong champions, but maybe a little bit off meta. I kind of like the Galio here, to be honest. I think Haley's going to have a hard time in this lane, but, it's not unwinnable or anything like that.
Oh, I actually love the Galio here. And I'll tell you why, right? One, Galio is, again, really strong. One of those champions. In fact, every champion on Black Blossom is really strong right now, except for maybe Nara. Nara is only sort of kind of strong. But Misfortune, Bard, Galio, Kane, these are all crazy power picks, really in the meta. So the draft coming through from Black Blossom in a lot of ways, very, very strong. The Galio specifically is good, one, against magic damage, so good against Haley in lane, like you were saying. Two, very good against dive, very good at protecting carries, like Curious Veil, like Misfortune or Bard, or sort of backline champions. And when right now, Team Wood Forever, they've drafted so much dive, right? They are going forward. They have Groove Shark on Leona, Death Boy on Wukong, Exo Sync on Malphite. These champions are diving, so having that hero's entrance there as a safety net to help keep Curious Veil protected, that could end up being really, really massive. And also the magic damage shield, right? Now that Galio gets that Shield of Durant magic damage shield to everybody in his ultimate AoE when he ults, that is going to do a lot to mitigate some of the burst damage potentially coming through from Haley or even from Sync on the Malphite.
Yeah, definitely. If you can negate the damage from an ability to like Pop Blossom from Haley, that would be huge in a team fight, right? And that just kind of like gives you a little window into Black Blossom's kind of team fight potential here. I mean, you got a lot of team fight, right? Misfortune, Galio, Gnar as well as a great team fight ultimate if you can use it correctly and time that Mega Gnar form correctly. Yeah, they do have a really, really good team fight. It's maybe a little bit harder to pull off. I mean, Galio ult isn't really a surefire thing. It's not super reliable. You have to ult onto your allies, of course. Gnar as well, as I mentioned, it can be difficult to make sure that you're on the Mega Gnar form when the team fight really counts. And it kind of seems to me on the flip side, Wood Forever have very easy to execute team fight abilities, right? You have Malphite, Unstoppable Force, Nico, Pop Blossom. These are like essentially just massive abilities that you hardly have to aim at all, right? Wukong and Xayah as well, also very easy to execute. Solar Flare is literally point and click Baymax, so some very powerful team fight here, but for me, Wood Forever is just an easier team to play.
I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but one concern that I'm seeing from looking at Wood Forever's team comp is that I think Wood Forever have drafted a comp that doesn't really win anywhere early. Mid lane, pressure should definitely be going to iTunes. Bot lane, definitely would expect a Misfortune Bard to have control over that lane. Such a strong lane. Top lane as well. Gnar is very, 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 very good into tanks, bruisers like Malphite, things that are easily kiteable. Sync's never going to one-shot Donald. It's all... You would expect the Gnar to have pressure at most points in that lane. So, I feel like these team comps are actually a little bit sort of reversed from each other. Because on Wood Forever, they have lanes that probably aren't going to have pressure, but a jungler that's strong early. Kane is not that strong early, right? But He has lanes that are strong early. So on the side of Wood Forever, I feel like the early game momentum is going to have to be on Death Boy if they want to get the ball rolling, if they want to contest early game objectives and look for early game skirmishes. And then Black Blossom is sort of the opposite. I think Kane should look to play around his lanes, around what lanes are doing well. He's going to be looking for Pinna to set him up. He's going to be looking for iTunes to set him up, provide that crowd control, provide the picks. And he just wants to farm and get Rost as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rost is probably good here. I mean, maybe this would potentially take Blue Kane, but I think your team is already pretty front-loaded as far as damage is concerned, so maybe getting a little extra A, front line, and B, also taking down some of the tankier members of Wood Forever is probably a good idea. Also, Rost is just better than Kane.
Rost is just better than Kane, and with the buffs that came through on the Q cooldown, Rost is so much better than Kane. He just heals
Yeah.
a ridiculous amount. For those who don't know, Kane got two buffs. His W slow before he transformed was increased to I think 90% decaying from 70% decaying, which was a pretty significant change. But the bigger change was his Q cooldown got buffed to the point where once you transform into Rost, I think his Q cooldown is about 2 seconds. As you can imagine, with the new Death's Dance, which that is a ridiculous amount of tankiness and a ridiculous amount of healing in a champion that is also doing a ton of damage. So new Kane is very, very strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that Kane isn't particularly strong early, and it's important to note that that's where the buffs were, you mentioned, are in the early game on that W slow, which can be impactful. I mean, it's helping him set up a champion that normally has some difficulty setting up. I mean, his strongest setup is that he can come from weird angles, but after that, it can be kind of difficult to really keep somebody within the fighting range. Normally, you just kind of provide damage for a gank, right? And you need somebody else to kind of slow down the enemies for you, but not as much with Kane anymore. I mean, the W, that's a pretty big slow now. So even though he is still weak early, still a weaker early game jungler, he's stronger than he ever has been. So we could see the potential for Kane to get some ganks off here in the early game.
One thing to keep an eye on is Wood Forever. They probably aren't going to have pressure very early on, but that doesn't necessarily mean they can't fight, right? Once they hit level 6, both these teams actually are very ultimate reliant for the most part. iTunes, Hero's Entrance, big cooldown for team fighting. Bullet Time, big cooldown. The Umbral Trespass is huge. The Tempered Fate is huge. The Gnar is huge, right? All these ultimates are basically required for Black Blossom to team fight effectively. Same thing for Team Wood Forever, right? They are waiting on the Solar Flare. They are waiting on especially the Pop Blossom and the Cyclone and the Unstoppable Force. There's a lot of team fight potential from Team Wood Forever once they are able to get those ultimates online. So maybe expect a slow game from them until around level 6. But at that point, I bet some sparks are going to start flying.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit of a slow start here, but maybe an invade from Wood Forever, and no, they're going to move back into their own jungle. So yeah, we are going to see a slow start. They get a little bit of deep vision in there, which is good if you want to track Kane, and you definitely do. Even though he's a weaker early game jungler, you definitely don't want to give a late game jungler early kills, right? That's not a good plan at all. But Sir Donald Trump kind of waiting in this bush, maybe thinking he's going to catch Sync on a way back from leashing the jungler, but kind of just wasting some of this time. They're gonna try and last hit these minions up in the top lane, though.
You talked about playing slow, and in my mind, Team Wood Forever right now, they are the team that undoubtedly scales better in my mind. So, I think the pressure in this game is sort of on Team Black Blossom to take control of the map relatively early on. And try to make sure that they are the ones pushing for dragons, pushing for heralds, getting the map opened up. Because I would expect Team Black Blossom to have pressure in the bot lane, in the mid lane, and probably the top lane as well. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But I think Team Wood Forever are probably okay with just sort of taking it slower, right? Late game skill in Xayah is insane. Wukong split push pressure insane also. So I don't know. What are you thinking about win conditions here?
Well, the scaling's kind of up in the air, but you mentioned the fact that Black Blossom just is stronger in the early game, right? And they both kind of have equal-ish team fights on either side. So if this game gets to the late game, even if some of the members of Wood Forever don't scale particularly well, it'll give them more time to catch up and make their team fight more relevant. So I think regardless, Wood Forever is just going to be stronger the later this game goes on. But Sir Donald Trump's in trouble here. Deathboy's a little bit of a gank.
He's fine. Just gonna crunch his way on out of that one.
Yeah, that was a good time to transform into Mega Gnar, but here Haley might be in trouble in mid lane.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not.
She's good. She's got her tangle barbs to get her out of trouble. She's just fine. Scuttlecrab's traded away though. We might see Deathboy look for a gank mid as bot lane. Astrolution is dropped very, very low. Mid lane as well. Both junglers look like they're waiting for a gank. Jetboy making his moves on iTunes, but Undertaker Kid is here. Shield of Durant taunt is going to land onto this Wukong, forcing the flash from this monk of a monkey over here. First flash blood going over to Team Black Blossom.
Yeah, well played on that one, but Astro Illusion might be going down here. It's going to be pretty close.
Flash under turret, Curious Veil, Flash and Heal coming out, gonna net first blood over to Pinna. So Team Black Blossom making aggressive trades mid lane and bot lane, but it looks like one is about to be traded back onto Groove Shark as we head into an unfortunately timed pause.
Yeah, that's a pretty rough time to pause there. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out for us here, but I would have to imagine Curious Veil is going down. It is Leona, though, so there is some potential for this not to get picked up. Oh, there we go.
Pinna, what are you doing? The flash forward. Groove Shark finds one kill, and over the wall goes Death Boy from one bad situation mid lane into a much better situation on the boss side of the map. A double kill for Groove Shark. That's not necessarily who you want that kill go on, but you know what? A 2-for-1 is still a 2-for-1.
Yeah, and I mean, supports taking kills, it's always suboptimal, right? But I think some supports having gold are better than others, and Leona's probably one of those. It's good to have more gold. Leona's going to be a lot of frontline for the team, kind of depending on how Sync builds. But if Sync builds AP or even just more of a damage build, it's pretty much going to be Groove Shark for the front line for their team. So having that extra gold will probably be okay. We'll see if it changes their build path at all.
Important to note, both teams starting to now sort of fight for vision control around the dragon. You can see a pink ward in the pit from Team Black Blossom, but also sort of some normal wards dotting the river from Team Wood Forever. So we'll start to see some fireworks over this dragon. First dragon of the game has spawned about 30 seconds ago. It is a cloud dragon, which is one of the stronger early game dragons, especially considering, you know, we already talked about how impactful these ultimates are going to be.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, iTunes just hit level 6. That's huge there. Other solo laners are going to be hitting 6 soon as well. Around the time these teams will be looking for the dragon, most of the members should be hitting their ultimates. So you're right. Yeah, it's going to be hugely impactful. This one and Ocean Drake are probably the best early game dragons. So both teams getting pretty lucky with this one. But I think well, it's hard to say, right? We said Kane had a weaker early game.
Top lane unstoppable force onto Donald Trump. Flashes traded and kills traded by the top laners. You know, that's a 1-for-1, but
yeah,
I think importantly, Donald Trump still has teleport and Sync doesn't, so that might end up impacting this dragon fight.
Yeah, it definitely could. And having a Gnar rain on your dragon parade is never fun, but I'm trying to figure out who has priority for this dragon. You know, it's kind of easy to say that it's going to be Black Blossom. They have a better early game, but Kane isn't such a good early jungler. Astral Illusion taking a lot of damage here in the bot lane.
Yeah, look at this bot side map. If you want to know who's got pressure for this dragon, you look to the bot lane. You see the CS deficit in favor of Curious Veil. 51 CS on Misfortune, and a kill from a sneaky double up onto Astral Illusion. If he thought he was out of that one, he was not. Now you're right. Death Boy does have more pressure as a champion early on than Undertaker, but you know, with bot lane pressure like that, I think Black Blossom can definitely take this dragon if they want it.
Yeah, it looks like they're looking for Death Boy's blue buff as well, and
they're looking for Death Boy.
Get it.
Screw the blue buff. Magical Journey over the wall. Death Boy running for his life. Haley is there to peel for her jungler and get him out of that one safely. So looks like most likely not going to be any kills getting picked up for Black Blossom this time around. But you know what? They don't need the kill. They got the pressure. They got the dragon.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be picking up this dragon. I mean, Death Boy's back in the fountain. I don't think there's any way that Wood Forever can try and contest this epic monster. So that is going to be first dragon of the game going over to Team Black Blossom there. That next dragon is going to be a mountain. And, in the top lane, Mr. President might be in trouble up there. Sync's on a warpath.
It's a close matchup. Sync is about to have his unstoppable force back up, so Donald might have to watch out for that one. Also, look in the river here, top side. Look who's roomed up. It's Groove Shark moving with Death Boy. Team Black Blossom may have gotten the dragon, but Donald Trump, he is going to die, pay with it for his life. And now, with Groove Shark on top side of the map, this looks like it's a Herald attempt for Team Wood Forever.
Yeah, and training back the Herald is just kind of a classic way to stay in the game after you've lost Dragon, right? So this is going to be a good step forward for them. They're not really even behind in gold just yet. I mean, it's about 400 gold, something like that, but that's mostly because they have 3 members hitting an objective right now that's not actively giving them gold. So they'll probably catch back up after that, after the finish with that. But yeah, if they can drop this on a plating, it'll be practically they'll be ahead in gold, right? I think, but we'll see how that plays out for him there. Teleport channel from Sir Donald Trump. We'll see if this turns into a fight. Looks like maybe not here. Just some more vision control. Oh,
lane, though. Another kill going over. That's I like the look from Donald's, but you know, it's still a little bit late on pulling the trigger on that one. But bot lane, Curious Veil and Pinna are really just putting in so much work here. Look at the CS deficit that's materializing here. By the way, Astrolution on that death, burned heal and flash, still died. Curious Veil and Pinna used no summoner spells. They're getting 2 plates. They're crashing 3 more waves into the turret. Now top lane, Donald Trump looking for 1v1 of his own, jumps on top of Sync, uses the Gnar, forcing an unstoppable force. Mid lane, flashing back to mid lane, iTunes doing a ton of damage to Haley. This is the power of that Galio matchup we were talking about. She's almost gonna drop to the Winds of War. Is that what it's called? I'll check quick. Yes, it was right. Winds of War. Almost dropping to the Winds of War from iTunes, but not quite. Top lane though, Undertaker Kid, finishing what Donald Trump started, finding the kill, finding the dive onto Sync.
Yeah, he's saying Kane early game. What Kane early game? I don't need any of that, but does pick up the kill there for himself. We'll see how close this Kane is to transforming. I think I can ping that actually, but let's see if I can. Maybe not here. I'll keep working on that. Give me a second.
Yeah, I just tried to ping it too. I have to imagine he's getting pretty close, right? We'll see what ends up happening, but melee champions are who he needs to be hitting to get that transformation, right? So top lane is where he's going to want to be. He needs Sync, he needs Death Boy, or Groove Shark. You almost never want to go Shadow Assassin with the meta where it is. Rast really is almost always just a stronger Kane, and this game is not going to be an exception to that rule.
Yeah, for sure. If my Kane's going Shadow Assassin, I'm going to need a 10-page summary of why they're doing so, right? They better have a really good reason to do so, but yeah, this is just not too many situations where Shadow Assassin beats Ross. Astral Illusion taken down again, and Baymax at least Curious Veil to use ult this time, but made it look pretty easy on that one. Groove Shark might be looking for some retribution.
Death Boy is looking. Solar Flare on the Curious Veil, followed up instantly by Pinna's Tempered Fate. That's not necessarily the target you want. Flash out from Curious Veil, using the heal as well. Cyclone not bringing enough damage from Death Boy. Groove Shark chugging so low after teleport from Tunes. Shut down onto Death Boy. Team Wood Forever just not quite catching the break they need. Curious Veil does die, but it's traded back.
Yeah, iTunes teleports bot, gets himself a kill. Haley gets a little bit of free pushing. I think they picked up 1 plating there, but that's about it. A little bit of a CS. There as well. And wow, solo kill onto Sync up in the top lane. And
that was through Bramble Vest, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, this lane is a lot about just kind of power windows and windows of strength. It's the easiest, most obvious one is Mega Gnar, right? But also, when Sync has Unstoppable Force up too, you got to make sure that you're playing back as Gnar. But as soon as he uses it, it's almost like you have free license to just walk up and hit him, right?
Totally.
Yeah,
I want to highlight also, speaking of power spikes, top lane, Merc Treads for Donald Trump. Early Merc Treads versus magic damage champions do so much work. Now mid lane, speaking of magic damage champions, Haley forced a flash away from a dive, but it's not enough. iTunes finding 1 kill for Black Blossom. Now bot side. Deathboy trying to make a gank come through, not quite finding anything. iTunes is roaming down from River. He has the Hero's Interest available. The Herald has been popped, but so has Astral Illusion as the bullet time finds another victim for Curious Veil. Now shifting focus towards the Dragon. Undertaker Kid and iTunes starting up the second Dragon of the game for Black Blossom.
Yeah, and Baymax, I think Curious Veil might be killing Astral Illusion with bullet time on cooldown. Like, as soon as it comes back up, just immediately dropping on Astral Illusion, getting a kill every time. I think they've done it like 3 times in a row now. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, second Dragon coming down for Team Black Blossom. The next Dragon and all the other Dragons are going to be Ocean Dragons, so that's pretty powerful. But Sync's in trouble. Oh, going to go down to those Gnar autos. That passive is nothing to sneeze at, Baymax.
It hurts. It hurts so much. You know what else hurts is the lead that Black Blossom have right now. Bot lane turret is about to fall down. Astral Illusion and Groove Shark just finding no pressure in this lane. I want to talk about the Herald that got dropped bot lane there, because Woodford Forever dropped Herald there. They were trying to make the play. Now Tempered Fate coming out from Pinna. Gonna land this follow-up stun into Astral Illusion. Curious Veil not quite able to pick up that kill. Pinna gonna find it instead as Groove Shark goes in with Xenoblade, trying to buy some time, trying to run away now, but it's far too little, too late. Another kill, the 5th kill for Curious Veil.
Yeah, and the bot lane from Team Black Blossom is just massive at this point, right? I mean, the score line 5-2-3 on the Misfortune. We'll take a look at the individual gold difference. It's 4,000 gold, Baymax, between the two ADCs.
That's almost the entire gold gap.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's like 2 death caps. Not 2 death caps, maybe a little less than 1 or something, but
so it's a little over
insane.
1, little over 1.
Yeah, a little over 1, yeah. Sync again, probably going down in the top lane. Oh, unstoppable force out of that situation.
Caster cursed you on that one, but you know what? I said it before, I'll say it again. You don't always got to get the kill, right? Sync, no teleport, no unstoppable force, forced to recall. Herald has spawned. Undertaker and Donald Trump more than likely to get this turret, although they might be betting off more than they could chew. Groove Shark and Deathboy are nearby with Astral Illusion to back them up. Donald Trump kind of low. Turret is going to go down, but not before Donald Trump drops so very low by the cycle from Deathboy. Here comes the heroic entrance. Donald Trump still barely alive as Astral Illusion flashes after trying to find the kill. Now a shutdown. Astral Illusion is going to pick up that one, but on the flip side of the fight, Justice Punch from iTunes is doing so much work, but not enough. A double kill for Astral Illusion. Gonna get traded back onto Undertaker. Trading double kills across the top side of the map here. iTunes flashing away to try to save himself from the feathers as Astral Illusion is finding a little bit of a redemption arc for himself here. Now shifting to the bot side of the map, Curious Veil and Pinna have gotten bot lane inner turret, and they are getting another kill onto Sync, who has now died 5 times this game.
Yeah, no such redemption arc for Sync, not yet anyway. But yeah, double kill coming through from Zai. Wasn't expecting that one. They do expend Flash. I believe they also used Heal in that fight. It might have been an earlier fight, though. I'm not 100% on that one. But
I think that was earlier.
Yeah, they're not going to have summoner spells for the next little while. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Groove Shark is just going to have Flash as well. They did use Ignite in that fight, too. So a lot of summoner spells used here.
Some curious macro coming out. It's not so often that you see both side lanes pushed into the inhibitor and mid lane outer still standing. But Team Black Blossom, they aren't letting mid lane outer stand for too much longer. They're coming for it. Haley trying her best to wave clear this turret, but, you know, finding some short-term success. Undertaker and Donald Trump, though, they're looking for this Herald, and you know what? Short-term success, probably not going to be long-term success, except for the flash over the wall from Deathboy. He has stolen the Herald, but paid for it with his life. That is probably worth it, but unstoppable now for iTunes.
Yep, and you know, I think time will tell. I'm not really sure how much help Team Black Blossom really needed picking up these structures. I think they do it just fine without Herald, but it might have been worth it. We'll see here. Sync trying
Tempered
to
Fate onto Sync. He still has the unstoppable force. Will he use these chunks so very low? Re-engages, finds 3, but it's not quite good enough. Pinna finding 1 kill onto Sync. Undertaker so very low. Eventually gonna get picked up. I'm not even sure what did it, but Haley getting that kill, I think, with an ignite. Now bullet time under turret. Stranglethorns finding Curious Veil, forcing the flash from this misfortune. And now under the turret goes Donald Trump, a big gnar into 3. Actually 2, because one of them was the Wukong clone, but it doesn't really matter. That's 2 more kills going into the hands of Black Blossom, dominating again for iTunes. 6-0 on this Galio now as mid lane outer turret falls from Team Wood Forever. Mid lane inner now under siege. Only Groove Shark left to defend.
Yeah, and an 8k gold lead it'll be for Team Black Blossom here in game 1. And I think we might almost be through game 1 at this point. They'll be looking to pick up their 3rd drag, that ocean drag here in just a few seconds. Looks like they're already making their way to the Dragon Pit to pick that up. And I'm not really sure there's any way that Wood Forever can contest this. I don't think they have the map pressure, so they should pick up that 3rd dragon fairly simply here. But yeah, if you're Wood Forever, I think you just set up close vision and try to get a pick at this point.
Yeah, you know, it's rough. They still have strong engage tools, right? But when you're down 10k gold, 18 minutes in, you're running out of options. But you're 100% right. They definitely cannot contest this dragon. No ult on Sync, no ult on Death Boy, but he's gonna face check anyway, right into a shield of Durant taunt. Another kill going over to Black Blossom, this time on Pinna. Tempered Fate forcing a sidestep from Groove Shark, who has again stepped too far forward. Solar Flare is not gonna get him out of that one. Curious Veil, unstoppable. Another bullet time finds another kill.
Yeah, and Team Black Blossom are doing just so well here in game 1. It's pretty crazy, to be honest. The 700 gold bounty on the Misfortune's head. That's just massive. I mean, iTunes hasn't died yet, Baymax. I'm not really sure what's happening, but we are seeing a lot of control words come through from Wood Forever, so maybe that's an indication. Oh, here we go.
Ooh, Unstoppable Force is up. Curious Veil, no flash. Uses the heal. Not quite good enough, but you know what is good enough is the hero's entrance onto 3. iTunes godlike as Haley falls. Groove Shark and Astro Illusion now running for their lives, forcing iTunes to kite back a big cyclone, but is it big enough? Donald Trump is now here, and he's mega. A nice stun onto Astro Illusion, onto Death Boy. Means that Team Wood Forever are route to the double kill for Curious Veil. 4 for nothing. iTunes now 8-0 on this Galio. This could be the end of the game, but Team Black Blossom, they're going to play it safe. They're going to play it slow. They look to get bot lane inhibitor, maybe get mid lane as well.
Yeah, so definitely picking up that bot lane inhibitor. Pinna might get a little bit of damage on this mid lane inhibitor turret as well, but actually teleport coming through from iTunes. They want more Baymax. Sir Donald Trump's already here too, so maybe they can get a little bit. They're going to need to wait for the wave though. But yeah, I'm just trying to think of a way that anyway,
for the
Wood
wave.
Forever.
They gotta wait for Undertaker. They gotta wait for Curious Veil. They can't do this 3v5. This is how Team Wood Forever can maybe get back into the game. A little bit of over-aggression from Black Blossom. The Baron is free. You have bot lane inhibitor. Play it slow. Play it calculated, right? Get vision in Team Wood Forever's jungle. You don't have to force a fight here. I think Black Blossom probably still can. Undertaker is strong. He's got Rost 8-0 on iTunes, but the hero's entrance not yet available. It looks like we are gonna see potentially an NA Ram come out here with a 12k gold lead for Black Blossom. 21 minutes in, bot lane super minions are forcing Astro Illusion away from the fight as the mid lane inhibitor turret is going to end up falling for basically free. Now mid lane inhibitor under threat, under siege, and Team Wood Forever just not having the confidence to step up. They don't have their ultimates available just yet. Cyclone is down. Unstoppable Force only just now coming available as the rest of Black Blossom are now looking topside. They want everything, Axeman.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop them from getting it. They have to wait on minions again, but that's pretty much the only thing limiting them from taking the Nexus at this point is these waves showing up, but they might be backing off, maybe even looking for Baron here. They're definitely going to get that red buff, and yeah, Sir Donald Trump's going to start up this Baron. For better or worse, I think he might need a little bit of help though, so we'll see if his team joins him here.
Ami Pudo, thank you so much for the subscription. We really, really do appreciate that. So I just want to throw that out there. I do see you in the chat. See you guys. We love you guys. Thank you for the subscription. Thanks for the chatting as well. Really appreciate it. Team Black Blossom now looking at this Baron, starting it up. Like you said, there's nothing Wood Forever can really do at this point. It feels like they're slowly bleeding out. No contention coming out as the Baron falls basically for free, widening the gold gap even more here.
Yeah, that's like 15k, Baymax. It's like just massive. But next dragon's going to be up little over in a minute here. That's going to be Ocean Soul for Team Black Blossom. Yeah, I think maybe you wait to pick that up, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. They're just like wildly ahead, right? So it kind of a matter of preference at this point, whether they wait for that dragon to come up. But we'll see what they do.
Get Ocean Soul, ARAM top lane, GG, right?
Yeah, something like that, or literally anything at this point. I think would just result in TVB's winning, but.
Ooh, I think Undertaker heard you. He is going for a pick on Groove Shark mid lane. Stranglethorns not going to quite land. Pinna finding us Tempered Fate, but the follow-up stun, the follow-up Cosmic Binding not quite going to land. But now Team Black Blossom running at mid lane. They did just use one of their key ultimate abilities, so they might actually find struggle here. But a teleport from Sync is going to get canceled as the first turret falls. This could be it. Featherstorm from Astral Illusion trying to find some semblance of clear. A big Cyclone onto 4, a nice unstoppable force. Is it going to be enough? Curious Veil is still alive, flashed out, doing a lot of damage. iTunes untouched in the backline as well, and Undertaker wreaking havoc on the backline of Team Wood Forever. This is definitely going to be the end of the game, a 4 for nothing. It almost looked like a good fight, but Team Black Blossom was just too far ahead. Ace for Curious Veil, and the first win of the season for Team Black Blossom.
Yeah, so congrats on picking up game 1 there. But yeah, that had to be the most disappointing part of the game for me, Baymax, because they were starting to show signs of life there at the end. That last team fight, it almost looked pretty good. I can't imagine if they had been able to pull something like that off back when the gold lead was just 5. Or even, but yeah, as it was, very one-sided. Very, very one-sided.
Yeah, that was... I mean, there's not much to say. I feel like... I think part of that was drafts. I think Team Wood Forever just... They didn't have pressure early from anywhere. And Team Black Blossom used their sort of innate pressure well. It also, to me, felt a little bit like just sort of outclassing, especially bot lane. You know, Misfortune and Bard are supposed to win that lane, but I don't think they're supposed to win it that hard.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. Curious Veil and Pinna, just an overwhelming performance from the bot lane duo from Black Blossom.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no lane that wins that hard in League. Not meta lanes anyway, right? So yeah, that was pretty rough down the bot lane. But other places, I feel like Sync probably could have done a little bit better. That Gnar matchup was pretty rough for the Malphite, but there was a couple times, like when the unstoppable force dive, where he just kind of ulted the Gnar and then went 1-for-1. It was kind of like, I'm not sure if that was worth it, you know, but. Yeah, overall, very well played by TVB for sure.
All right, so that was only game number 1. This is a best of 3. That has not changed. So we are going to be moving into a quick break in the next few minutes here, but we will return. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have game 2 of Team Black Blossom versus Team Wood Forever. And again, this is the first best of 3 of Style Esports Season 3. Both these teams new to the league. They got something to prove. I cannot imagine Wood Forever are going to go down without swinging. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Well, I think we're back live. Pretty sure we are. We had some technical difficulties again, but we should be good now. So thank you all for sticking with us through the break. We maintained most of our viewership, which is awesome. We are moving into the draft for game 2 now between Black Blossom and Wood Forever. We had a pretty exciting game 1 where Black Blossom had what was undoubtedly a convincing win over Wood Forever. Now, Wood Forever, they are undoubtedly gonna come back swinging, gonna switch some things up, gonna change their draft up. I am here. I am Baymax. I am casting with the lovely and beautiful Axeman 87. How's it going, Axeman?
I'm doing just fine, and yeah, now that Wood Forever have dropped game 1 here, they got to pick side selection for game 2, and they elected to pick up this blue side here. So they do get the first pick. Now this was pro drafted, so I'll let you in. It was the Jinx pick, was first pick from Wood Forever. So I guess that's a pretty solid pick for them. Hopefully they can have a little bit better of a bot lane. That Xayah bot lane was pretty rough.
You know, I'm a little concerned. I didn't see how all the pro draft went down. I don't actually know what the full drafts are. Looks like a wrong pick might have come in here, so we're gonna just wait a second on that one as we get back in the drafted. But the Jinx pick specifically, I feel like Wood Forever, one of their bigger problems in the first game was just the fact that it felt like Wood Forever drafted 3 lanes and none of them had priority, right? They were all losing lanes. And that is almost always a bad situation to find yourself in. And, you know, a Jinx in the bot lane for a Groove Shark instead of a Xayah, that maybe could still go badly. Or for Groove Shark? No, for Astral. A Jinx in the bot lane for Astral instead of for Groove Shark. Or instead of... Excuse me again. A Jinx in the bot lane for Astral instead of a Xayah. That could go badly. That could have the same problem as sort of not having pressure early.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Are they like intentionally out of order? What's going on with that? Did they actually
this was
switch
just
positions,
because
or?
this was, I think, just because, and Deathboy is saying this, because someone ended up having to dodge and reconnect because of a wrong pick. So their orders are still the same as last game. They're just a little bit out of order for Champ Select, but it is
Gotcha.
what it is. So Sig still top lane, Haley still mid, Astral's lady carry, and so on.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm all filled in now, so everybody is staying the same. But yeah, so for Deathboy, I'm excited to see this jungler. I'm not really sure who they're gonna pick after the Wukong fiasco. I don't think the Wukong was the worst pick or necessarily even the worst performance on the team, but it definitely didn't have too much of an effect. I don't think anybody from Wood Forever really had much of an effect on that game. That was definitely one of the rougher games we've seen in style esports. I think at 16,000 K or 16,000 gold lead, I think was where it topped out, somewhere in there. But looking like Master Yi coming through for Deathboy. How do you feel about this pick, Baymax?
You know, Tarek is open. That's my first thought. Funnel, good old-fashioned funnel, could be a possibility here. But in general, first picking Master Yi is not something that I am the biggest fan of. But, you know, that being said, it does potentially signal that Wood Forever are switching up their draft a little bit, right? Because normally you'd pick a scaling jungler like Master Yi. You want lanes that can enable him, which is, you know, vice versa. That's sort of what Black Blossom had, right? They had a scaling jungler with lanes that could enable it, lanes that had pressure. Lanes that can enable will often have pressure. So maybe Wood Forever, this is a sign that their lanes are going to be a little bit stronger. Though curiously enough, it is actually Wood Forever that banned away the Tarek, which is strange because Tarek is so good with Master Yi. You don't have to be running funnel. Tarek's support is good with Master Yi. Having that Cosmic Radiance just in general is so good versus Master Yi. Not only good with Master Yi, right, but it's good versus Wukong, versus Galio, versus Yasuo. This intense dive team that Black Blossom have started to draft here, right? This is sort of an opposite in a lot of ways from what Black Blossom had before. Last game, Black Blossom they felt like they were sort of playing fights a little bit slower. They weren't necessarily diving so much. They were DPSing and protecting their backline. This time, they are diving. They have Undertaker going with the Wukong. They picked it away from the jungler from Wood Forever. They picked it away from Wood Forever, and now they have the Galio Thunderdome to follow that up with, and a Yasuo to ult off all of the knocking up that's going to be happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of displacements on the team, right? But you're mentioning that Deathboy's going to need some setup for those ganks, especially in the early game. He's got Lux, Nautilus, and Shen. It's a pretty solid setup, right? I mean, that's pretty good, especially in those solo lanes. That's a very strong setup indeed. So I'm excited. I'm hoping this goes a little bit better for Wood Forever, if nothing else. We'd like to see a closer game for sure, but just by team comp alone, I think it's going to go pretty well for them. My thing with Master Yi is that Master Yi's success is more based on like the enemy than it is on the Yi, because you just kind of alpha strike, and then if the team enemy knows how it works, then you're probably not going to have a good time. But if they don't, or they don't manage it well, manage their CC well, then it's kind of just like a steamroll fest. So
This is a scary team to pick Master Yi into, right? This is what happens, or what can happen, when you first pick Master Yi. Look at how many answers Black Blossom have. You were starting to talk about the crowd control. Galio taunts, Shield of Durand is so good. Lulu polymorph, so good. A Cyclone, instant knockup, instant AoE knockup, instant double AoE knockup. You have, you can use it twice. There's so many tools to lock down. And of course, the Chains of Corruption from Curious Veil. Like, there's so many lockdown tools from Black Blossom.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Master Yi gonna have a difficult time. If Team Black Blossom use their stuff well, right? I mean, if they're missing their skill shots or blowing them early in fights, then Deathboy's gonna have a very easy time of this. But you could also see how it'd be very easy for Team Black Blossom to shut down Deathboy reasonably early too, right? I mean, barring Chains of Corruption, most of those CC abilities are just regular abilities, and they have fairly short cooldowns too, right? So, Deathboy definitely could be in trouble on this one.
One difference in the draft that's standing out to me now is the top lane. It's going to be Sync on Shen versus Mr. Trump on Yasuo. That, I think, is a favorable matchup for the Shen. So, because of that, this is sort of the one time that Would Forever actually have a winning lane. Mid lane, again, Haley on Lux, similar to the Nico, likely not going to have pressure into a Galio. Bot lane as well. Jinx Nautilus, again, not likely to have pressure versus the Varus Lulu. So I think Wood Forever, the top half of the map is going to have to be strong to enable Wood Forever to fight some of these fights, or I worry that their comp is going to fall into a similar trap that it did last game, where no pressure anywhere, everything just falls apart. You can't contest objectives, you can't contest dragons, you can't contest heralds. I don't want to see that happen again. I'm hoping it doesn't happen again, because it already happened once, and Wood Forever, maybe they've considered that, they've drafted around that a little bit. Lux is safer than Nico is. She has a little bit of a longer range, so generally Haley is probably going to be able to stay alive better. But in terms of getting pressure in lane, not really all that much of an upgrade.
Yeah, definitely, and I think I like the Lux maybe a little bit better than Nico, but I gotta say, I think this Jinx is just a downgrade. I mean, the whole problem with last game in game one was that Aquarius Veil was just poking Astral Illusions out of lane, right? I mean, we saw the double up there, just absolutely one-shot the Xayah a couple times there. And to be honest, I don't think this is an upgrade. Varus Jinx, I think this is actually worse in a lot of the ways that a game one matchup was worse, right? I think Varus has more reliable poke than MF does. I mean, double up at least a little bit harder to land than Varus Q, and Jinx is probably a little bit more immobile than Xayah. I mean, they're kind of similar levels in that. In team fights, you're going to be getting excited and getting some movement speed there, but you don't have that ultimate that's going to make you untargetable that you can get out of situations with. To be honest, I feel like this is almost a downgrade.
I can't even really remember what the support was. Who
for which side?
Xayah. It was Xayah and who? Leona. Yeah. Okay. I think you're right. I think this is a downgrade in terms of having pressure in lane. I mean, Nautilus is pretty good, but the damage has got to be there to follow up his engage, right? And Jinx just doesn't do that much damage early, like you were talking about. Contrast that with a Varus Lulu, which is not only so much poke like you were talking about, but so much wave clear, right? Curious Veil and Pinna can just shove and shove and shove, and Astral and Groove Shark are not likely to have a good answer for that. And contrast that now with, at least last game, Wood Forever had a jungler that had pressure early, right? Wukong can look to make things happen. He's relatively strong early on. Master Yi is not that. Master Yi is not strong early. Master Yi needs time to scale and come online, and I don't think he's going to have it. I think I could end up being wrong. I hope I end up being wrong, but I think Wood Forever have drafted the same problem they had in the game, but maybe even a little bit worse.
Yeah, exactly. And I made the comment to you before we went on air that this seemed like kind of a solo queue draft, because in a lot of ways these are very like solo queue hyper carry champions, the Lux, the Jinx, the Master Yi. And in that setting, these champions are very strong, but here in the competitive world, a lot of them just aren't, right? I mean, Jinx doesn't see a lot of play in competitive scenes. Master Yi as well. Just because, you know, when the enemy team's in comms and it's just kind of a gimmick to shut your champion down, it's a lot easier to do so, right? Undertaker going to take a lot of damage here of the top side of the map, but actually Sync kind of wandering into the enemy jungle.
Double life binding, that's first blood for Haley. That'll go a long way towards getting things rolling for Wood Forever. And now flashes from Deathboy and Pinna, exhaust coming out. Gonna be another kill going over to the Master Yi, and suddenly Wood Forever, off of some cheesy invades, they managed to find some early pressure. Another light binding onto iTunes from Haley, but the Winds of War trading back some damage. Now Donald Trump, hooked up by the dredge line, might be in trouble. Alpha Strike under turret as Donald Trump flashes, forcing another flash from, I think, Astral flash there. I'm not even sure why really, but it happened. So regardless, that's a lot of summoners burned, and a 2-kill lead now for Wood Forever.
Yeah, definitely. I think we might have made a little mistake when we didn't mention that the comp coming from Wood Forever has like a killer level 1. And
it's really the dredge line, right? The dredge line is the level 1. And also just that proactivity, being grouped up together, walking into Black Blossom, who we're not ready for, who weren't watching jungle entrances as they should be. I think that was more the fault of Black Blossom than anything, but still a nice start to the game for Wood Forever, who if you're trying to make sure you have pressure early, a couple kills early is going to go a long way.
Yeah, definitely. On to Deathboy's Master Yi as well, a champion that you know, is difficult to get that gold early on. Normally you just have to keep hard farming until you get a little stronger later in the game, but now he's going to start the game off with this kill, right? That's going to be huge playing into 5-10 minutes into the future where we start seeing Master Yi popping off. But just in these solo lanes, kind of starting a little slower. You know, those solo lanes not necessarily huge into their early game. So maybe starting up a little slower than normal. Undertaker up in the top lane looking for a gank.
Yeah, I'm not finding too much. Well, one thing I do want to mention is with so many flashes burned, I think that especially bot lane, Pinna has to be a little bit careful, right? Because no flash on this Lulu and a dredge line from a Nautilus is very, very scary. Now the Alpha Strike coming in from Deathboy. Pinna, again, no flash, remember. Chomper's coming out. Dredge line is going to seal the deal on that one. Deathboy picking up a second kill of the game. A nice punish onto a flashless support.
Yeah, and that's that setup we were talking about going through from Nautilus, right? A champion is just made of CC. So much CC coming through. And yeah, getting the snap traps down, that's a good look from Astral Illusion. Already looking better here in this game. And gotta still be careful of that poke coming through from Varus. But Groove Shark actually,
walks forward, too far forward. Curious Veil gonna be forced to heal. Heals traded bot lane actually as Astral trying to find a kill. Now level 3 for the Wood Forever bot lane. Flash burning from Curious Veil as well. Mid lane, Undertaker looking for a gank, not going to find much. It's the 2 versus 2. Both junglers are there. Top lane, Sync finding a solo kill on the Donald Trump. This is a fantastic start to the game for Wood Forever. 4-0 now, and a bot lane with pressure. This is not what I expected.
Yeah, and it seems like TVB are taking some rough fights here, right? Up in the top lane, Sir Donald Trump taking a free tower shot there, just walking into range of
Oh,
turret, kind of unexpectedly. Oh, this is ill-advised. I'm not sure about this teleport, Baymax.
the bot lane though, Astral Illusion is gonna go down, and I'm not even sure what teleport you're talking about. I didn't quite see it. Did it happen top lane? But a double kill for Undertaker in the bot lane there. So Black Blossom are gonna get themselves back on the map as iTunes maybe looking for a solo kill mid lane. And Haley, not quite. Just as punch is gonna land, but the damage is not quite there.
Yeah, Sir Donald Trump immediately teleporting back up into the top lane. I said it might have been ill-advised, but he looks to be doing okay now. Sync might have to back off of that one, so yeah, kind of a salty teleport to be honest, but it is working out for him so far. iTunes and Haley looking very low in the mid lane, not doing so hot on the resource department, but both junglers don't seem too interested in it. We might see Deathboy make an appearance mid lane, actually. He's looking for the gank there. No, actually, we'll see what he does. Just kind of standing in the pixel bush there. And now going into the enemy jungle, I have to think that Wood Forever will be making a play on this dragon fairly soon. They have the map pressure for it. There's no one mid lane at the moment. iTunes had to take the back. Bot lane really doesn't have any kind of priority. They can't make their way to the dragon either. So this should just be free for Deathboy.
Yeah, that's a good look from Deathboy, right? I think Wood Forever had some communications where they said, hey, Curious Veil and Pinna are freezing bot lane, so we are definitely going to have pressure. Go ahead and start the dragon, right? iTunes is not level 6 yet. Undertaker, we just saw him top lane, he was level 4. What exactly are Black Blossom going to do to stop it? And the answer was nothing. First dragon of the game going over to Wood Forever, and Undertaker is heading towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, it might be a turret dive coming through here.
Actually, yeah. Sync is pretty low, and there is the tornado into a last breath. Sync trying to flash out, but he is not going to make it quite far enough. A Steel Tempest knocking him off his feet. Now Undertaker and Donald Trump finding a dive, finding a couple turret plates as well.
Yeah, and that's just well played there by TVB, the top laner and the jungler as well. So
bot lane, the all-in. You forgot about the hero's entrance. Groove Shark going down. iTunes doing what he can to support Curious Veil in the bot lane, forcing the flash from Astral as well. Black Blossom fighting their way back onto the map.
Yeah, and to be honest, in game one, Curious Veil just had a monster MF game, but it really felt like it was iTunes Galio that kind of cemented the victory, right? There was a couple times where it looked like Wood Forever might have been able to get the pick onto the Misfortune, but iTunes is just right there with the hero's entrance, right? Every single time. So yeah, now that this iTunes, now that Galio has that level 6, I feel like we're going to be seeing Galio on all corners of the map, making the difference for his team. Haley might be overextended in the mid lane.
Yeah, I would transition that might be to an is, but you know what? She's going to be okay. She doesn't quite get in range of that Shield of Duran taunt, and Undertaker not having level 6 yet is going to have to sort of take the walk of shame away from that mid lane. As we do enter into a pause now, I want to quickly highlight across the map here. Check out what's happening, all right? Wood Forever. They got that dragon off some smart early macro plays. We are now 25 seconds from the Herald spawning, and Undertaker's entire bot side jungle is up, and his top side is not, and he's running towards the bot half of the map and the bot scuttle. Look where Deathboy is. He is waiting. He is ready for that Herald to spawn. This sort of objective control, this emphasis on the objective, is pretty important, and it's what ended up giving Wood Forever the first dragon of the game, and it might be what ends up giving them the first Herald of the game as well.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of advantages, a lot of early advantages picked up from Wood Forever, but you can kind of see already just through micro plays, maybe picking up a better trade here, more CS here, last hitting better in this different lane, that it's actually TBB that picked up the gold lead by a little over 1,000 gold here. So you can see that reflected through almost all the CS differences on the map. I don't think that Wood Forever actually has a CS lead in any position at this point. In the support role, they actually have 9 more, but that's about it. So yeah, it's just that TBB at this point are just better at extracting gold from the map. Also, what you're kind of seeing is that Deathboy, like you mentioned, is spending more time on epic monsters. that contributes maybe a few hundred gold as well, because especially since he soloed the dragon, that just takes a lot of gold from junglers, right? Even though he's a champion that can do it quicker than other junglers, it's still time that he could have been spending farming. And that the stats from the dragon aren't represented in the gold, but nonetheless it is still value. So the team's a little bit closer than the gold difference would let on.
Although worth mentioning is that the mountain dragon, is actually one of the weaker dragons early, as Haley, maybe one of the weaker laners early, gets 1v1 by iTunes. A flash for a flash and a kill for nothing. Now Donald Trump top lane looking for his own 1v1 against Sync, but both these guys not really doing much damage to each other. Bramblevest hasn't picked up for Sync. Now Deathboy on a killing spree, returning back to the mid lane, trying to avenge Haley, and he is going to have so much success. Now Undertaker spinning with the Cyclone, looking for a 1 versus 2 as the Stand United is going to come in and give Deathboy the lead that he needs to end up winning that fight. Now straight to the Herald, would forever beelining it towards the top half of the map.
Yeah, and that's massive, right? I mean, obviously Haley went down, and that's suboptimal there, but another 2 kills onto your hyper carry jungler, late game jungler, now 4-0-0 at less than 9 minutes. Oh, wow.
Yeah, he just blew up. Chains of Corruption, now Astral. No flash on this Jinx. The slow is coming out from Pinna's Glitter Lance. I'm not going to quite find the kill, though. Curious Veil, chunked pretty low. That zap from Astral actually doing quite a lot of damage there.
Yeah, definitely, and they do have a BF sword in their inventory, so Jinx starting to do some damage, right? Gonna need a couple more items before they're the hyper carry that they need to be to win this game, but it's gonna be a couple platings picked up from TBB here, maybe 2. Could be just 1 though. Looks like they might be backing off here. Deathboy up in the top lane, just clearing some vision. Won't be able to gank quite yet. And now that I've said that, maybe he will. A little bit indecision.
Donald Trump a little bit too far up here. Gonna go in with the last breath onto Sync. Not gonna quite have a whole lot of damage. Teleport coming in from Tunes. This could be the re-engage that Donald Trump needs. Another massive kill going over to Donald Trump. A flash for a kill. Deathboy gets the gank turned right around on its head.
Yeah, and that's just iTunes having more effect on the map, right? We mentioned that iTunes really kind of subtly carried their team in game 1. It's already starting again here in game 2. I really don't think, Haley might be in trouble in the jungle. Yeah, and that's rough.
It happens, it happens.
Definitely happens for sure. iTunes is going to be shoving that lane into the mid tower, but maybe Death will make an effort to stop that. But yeah, that iTunes teleport, that was a great look. That was a really good teleport. I don't think Sir Donald Trump would have won that fight without the Galio. But,
oh no, yeah, he was done. He was done. That was such a good look.
Yeah,
I also wanna give a lot of credits to Wood Forever for picking up that Herald, and this is actually something that happened last game as well. Is Wood Forever did manage to get their hands on the first Herald, but if you'll remember, they didn't get hardly anything with it. They just got sort of the minimum possible return value, which was the 2 top turret plates, and that was about it. So I want to see if they can look to get more this time around.
Yeah, absolutely. If they can get a whole structure out of their efforts, that would be ideal for sure. Second drag is up now, and we're in a similar situation here. Of course, iTunes now has ultimate, doesn't have teleport just yet, but maybe Deathboy can be looking for the dragon here again. Notable difference, Undertaker Kid is now on the same side of the map, so maybe we'll see a jungler 1v1 here. Ooh. Oh, teleport channel this time from Sir Donald
here
Trump.
comes Chains of Corruption. Bot lane Astral rooted up. The piercing arrow doing so much damage. The hero's entrance keeping Pinna alive. A killing spree for the AD carry for Death Blossom. Now on the boss side of the map, Donald Trump has shown himself as well. Death Blossom pulling all the power cards they have got to try to get their hands on the second dragon of the game here.
Yeah, and probably a pretty good move, right? I'm not sure. I mean, I don't think you needed all 5 members to pick up this dragon, but now that they've expended all 5 members, they definitely get it, right? Meanwhile, Deathboy
Herald drop mid lane. Deathboy Galio has the taunt. You do not want to be caught under tower with that gargoyle on top of you. Another kill going over to iTunes, and the collapse onto Haley as well. I liked the look from Wood Forever trying to get that Herald drop mid lane to secure for tower first blood, but overstayed just a little bit too long.
Yeah, I couldn't quite pick up the structure. Almost got it to their credit, but weren't able to get it in the end there. A couple more platings going over to TBB in the mid lane, and now it's Sir Donald Trump going back to his lane. This is an interesting 1v1.
I think, I was going to say, I think Sync wins this, but Donald Trump definitely proving me wrong, forcing a flash, but Undertaker is here. He's not even getting any kill credit, though. A solo kill going over to Donald Trump, and this is the one lane that I would have expected Would Forever to have pressure in, and Sync is sort of losing control of it. I want to quickly give a ton of credit to Zinshin in the chat. Thank you so much for subscribing, Zinshin. We do see you. You are the best Shin, even better than Hashin Shin. So all the love to you guys. The subs make it happen. The viewers make it happen too. We love all you guys. But thank you so much for the subscription. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Salty TB here from Sync. I don't know if this is going to work out for him quite the way you think it will.
I don't think anyone dies here. Oh, I could be wrong.
Oh,
Undertaker waiting in the wings, dashes forward. Another kill to Donald Trump. 4-1 now on this Yasuo. He started out behind. Remember, Sync solo kill him, now switching to the boss side of the map. Astral finding herself in a 1v2 under turret. Gonna go down as the chains of corruption are just finding target after target. Curious Veil now 5-0, unstoppable on this Forest. 6-15. This is a far cry from where the game started.
Yeah, I was about to say that you would not have known that this game would go this way, having watched the start of this game. Wild, total turnaround from the start of the game. 8K gold lead now in favor of Team Black Blossom. That's just wild to me. I mean, iTunes has been coming through super hard on the Galio, but really, Curious Veil turning this bot lane around has been probably the biggest factor, right? I mean, I don't think anybody on the map from TVB is having a bad performance right now, but this is a monster Varus, and it came from, like, essentially nothing, right? I mean, that was a super bad start for their bot lane, and just through, you know, last hitting and getting good trades in alone, just hard laning, right, was able to bring this lane back from the brink.
A big part of it is also just the innate champion spot lane, but Depth Charge from Grooveshark will hold that thought. Pinna and Curious Veil both forced to flash away, now trying to turn the fight. Exhaust onto Curious Veil. Astral Illusion trying to find the 1v1. Not going to quite have the damage. Curious Veil is going to bring down Astral Illusion, but still a 1-4-2 with Grooveshark picking up shutdown kill. Now Undertaker showing himself on the boss side of the map, looking for his own 1v2, using the Cyclone, trying to find Haley and Grooveshark under turret. Lightbinding gonna land, forcing the flash. Final Spark is not gonna quite connect. Undertaker gets himself out with just a little bit of HP left, but mid lane iTunes looking to try to trade that turret away.
Yeah, probably going to be able to pick that one up, I would imagine. Sir Donald Trump maybe looking for this Rift Herald now. That's a pretty good look from them. Being able to pick that up will help them take those structures down. This is a little bit tougher game than it was last game for TBB to break open the base here. I think that Wood Forever might have a chance at scaling.
Death Boy! Death Boy, no! You have no vision control there, Death Boy. You cannot walk there. iTunes on a killing spree now, 4-1. Haley is next in line. The Wukong finds another victim, 5-2 for Undertaker. Herald started up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Undertaker is like a 3-level lead over Death Boy at this point. I might be wrong about that. I can't actually check until Death Boy comes back up on a Summer's Rift, but I'll definitely check that here in a couple seconds for you. It is going to be TVB just kind of running it down mid at this point. They're just trying to take that inner turret and get out. Maybe they want more Baymax Cell. Here's Hero's entrance too.
I don't know about that heroic entrance. It seems like Death Blossom getting a little bit too big here. And now Death Boy is seeing his chance, getting a massive shutdown kill. I would forever do outscale, I think. So Black Blossom, be a little bit careful here, right? Maybe getting a little bit too greedy.
Yeah, definitely. And it is actually 3 levels between the two junglers. But now that Death Boy's picked up that kill, it's just 2 levels now. So maybe the Yi making a little bit of a comeback. But we'll see. Undertaker getting out of that dredge line for the moment, but you know, Wood Forever do have the numbers here, so.
Oh, they have the numbers, but only for so long. Groove Shark face checking into Justice Punch. A nice 4-man shield of Durant makes the Cyclone all too easy for Undertaker. A rampage now for this monkey and a double kill for Curious Veil. 4 for nothing. Black Blossom, they bait the dragon and they win a massive team fight.
Yeah, you got to spread out against this team. There's just too much AoE, right? And it is going to be the second dragon for TBB here. That Cloud Drake, Cloud Soul, by the way, on Summoner's Rift tonight. Yeah, my favorite soul, but not many people agree with me on that one. I think it should be a lot of fun here, especially looking at champions like Wukong and Yasuo as well. That's a whole lot of movement speed coming through for those bruisers, but there's not a lot of champions that don't like the movement speed, right, Baymax?
Definitely not. And it is a fun dragon. You know what's not so fun, though, is the side lane. At least not for Sync. Another solo kill going over to Donald Trump. Not quite going the way that Wood Forever would want it to. I feel like sort of the innate lane pressure from Black Blossom is just has sort of been snowballing this game. Now, 2 dragons to 1. And Black Blossom, they have their sights on this bot lane inner turret.
Yeah, and they got the numbers at this point, also dropping Rift Herald too, so this should go down fairly simply. Oh, Death Boy having a hard time with that Yasuo. That was hard to watch, Baymax, but yeah, they're going to take that bot lane inner turret.
Ooh, and
now
they just dropped Herald. Herald hasn't crashed yet, yeah, and with one member of Wood Forever dead, they might have a hard time defending against the siege. Herald is going to go down after crashing into that turret, so the turret is staying alive for now. Top side of the map as well. Donald Trump finding himself in a 1 versus 1, not able to quite get his hands on that turret yet either. Flash forward from Undertaker, the Cyclone knockup is there. Unstoppable as Groove Shark falls, and now finally the minion wave can crash unimpeded as the bot lane inhibitor breaks open. Black Blossom with their finger on the pulse of Wood Forever's base. Bot lane inhibitor falling. Top lane, Donald Trump looking for the dive. Not going to quite find it 1 versus 1, so iTunes says, why 1 versus 1? We have a heroic entrance. Let's make it a 2 versus 1. Trying to make a kill come through there, but Pinna steps a little bit too far forward. Your Galio's not there to protect you. Deathboy finding 1 kill. Curious Veil dropping the heal. No flash available. Piercing arrow, not quite enough damage. Another shutdown for Deathboy. This Master Yi starting to get a little bit scary now. On the top side of the map, 2 versus 1. Donald Trump and iTunes finally working up the courage to make that dive come through. So something getting traded back in favor of Black Blossom, but overall, a win for Wood Forever.
Yep, a little bit of victory here. Probably not enough to start a comeback off of, but hey, we take those, right? Especially if we're this far behind. But yeah, still no item completed here for Astral Illusion, which is probably gonna be the biggest thing for them at this point. I think Master Yi is definitely gonna help, but I think they're gonna need the combination of the Yi and the Jinx to really come back in this game. So that first item is definitely gonna be helping out. Should be an IE, I think. I'm not 100% on the ADC items, but I believe that's what those component items build into. Yeah, actually just finishing just now the IE, so this is gonna be a pretty big spike for the Jinx.
It is a big spike, but it's almost certainly going to be too little too late. I mean, look at the items across the board. Even with the 7 kills and all the shutdown Deathboy has, he still has less gold than anybody on Black Blossom except for Pinna. Pinna is the only one that Deathboy has more gold than. You can see that. Look how strong this Yasuo is. Donald Trump easily making mincemeat of Deathboy. And now, Black Blossom, with the only strong member of Wood Forever dead, they're going to start up this Baron and take it. Probably for free, probably really easily, and Donald Trump, just to put the cherry on top, finding another kill in the side lane. Unstoppable as Haley falls into this lawnmower of a Yasuo.
Yeah, and tanking the tower to do so as well. Sir Donald Trump not even going below 50% health on that one, so very, very strong Yasuo indeed. Groove Shark looking to put a stop to this push, but probably going to have a hard time of doing that for sure. It's Undertaker Kid pushing down the mid lane, as is the rest of his team.
Ooh. Deathboy, he's popping the Highlander, but it looks like it was mostly a preemptive Highlander. Using it to get back to base, not really picking a fight. Mid lane inhibitor turret now under pressure as the Chains of Corruption come out. They find their target. Astral locked up, going down. Curious Veil finding another kill as the mid lane inhibitor turret is going to fall with ease. minions flooding into the base of Wood Forever. Bot lane supers about to be uncontested as well. This could definitely be the end of the game. Sync, Groove Dude, they might have to force a fight. Here comes the flash taunt, but right into a Galio. You cannot engage on that. Undertaker unstoppable, finding another kill, and now the engaged tools from Wood Forever are gone. Donald Trump and Undertaker ushering these minions in under the turret. A flash forward into a double knockup and a last breath. Heroes entrance coming in. This is definitely going to be the end of the game. The Wombo combo is all too real. Black Blossom wiping the fight. Wood Forever trying to trade something back. Astral looking for a kill, but just far too weak. And Infinity Edge is not nearly enough at 22 minutes into this game. Second game of the night is going to be picked up easily by Black Blossom.
Yeah, and with that, Team Black Blossom pick up the series, and they made it look easy too. A couple hiccups, and really, I might be understating the hiccups there at the start of this game, but yeah, other than that, looking very dominant here tonight.
Well, that's the thing, right? I feel like when you're ranking teams and you're trying to decide how good teams are, anyone can make those. But when the chips are down and you start from such a deficit and you can still find such a commanding lead so early on, I think that is just really the sign of a team that is probably going to go far in this division.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see really both these teams going far in this division, but for sure TVB. You know, there was a lot of good things going on here in this game, especially coming out of the bottom side of the map. iTunes and Aquarius Vale had insane series here tonight, and iTunes did it all on Galio, which is you know, pretty nuts in my mind. I mean, normally regarded as a carry champion. iTunes really coming through for their team on this one, but yeah, Aquarius Vale too, showing their mastery over multiple ADCs tonight, the MF and the Varus as well. You know, I definitely think this is a top tier team for this division.
I cannot wait to see what the future holds here. Although Wood Forever, of course, got to go back to the drawing board maybe after these first couple games. I really do feel like, in large part, these two games were decided by drafts. I feel like both times Wood Forever drafted early lanes that just could not get pressure and ended up losing pretty hard. So maybe, you know, first picking Master Yi I think was definitely a mistake. Picking a Jinx relatively early on, you know, if you're against a Varus Lulu, like, you're not going to have pressure. You got to know you're not going to have pressure and draft around that. I think you need a jungler that can supplement that and that can be strong early. You know, I think overall the draft both games with the Black Blossom, and I also feel like Black Blossom just played the game a little bit better. They went that extra mile. They had those laners that found the picks they needed. They found the CS leads they needed, and they found the roams and the looks they needed. You mentioned iTunes looking really good in the Galio. The heroes entrances were on point, or the heroic entrances were on point. Curious Veil, the piercing arrows were landing over and over again. Pinna was on point with the polymorphs. Undertaker all over the map, and Donald Trump was just styling on the side lane in both games.
Yeah, definitely. Sir Donald Trump had really good games in both games for sure, and the Yasuo especially I thought was pretty funny there. But yeah, very well played indeed. Haven't seen a lot of Nars in style, so I enjoyed watching that. Not a lot of Yasuos either, to be honest. So some good top lane variety here tonight.
All right, with that, I think we are going to call it for tonight. It has been a pretty fun night. Thanks everyone for coming out, especially for the subscribers. We got a couple of subscriptions tonight, which is awesome. We have pretty good viewer numbers as well. I hope you all enjoyed watching the first series of Style Esports Season 3. And I hope that if you got any questions about the new formatting or the way things are working, feel free to reach out to us on Discord or on our website. We got some resources out there to help you guys out. We really appreciate all that you do for us, and we want to try to reciprocate that in any way we can. This has been Baymax with Axeman. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight, and have a great evening.